We interrupt this program to bring you the Design Hustle podcast, conversations around successful design journeys. Take it away, Ali.
Johannes Robier, welcome to the show.
Thanks for inviting me.
Now it's really exciting for me because you're like a black box, the mystery black box. I really want to open because it's very intriguing what you've been doing, really fascinating as well, really inspiring at the same time. However,
Thank you.
it needs to be broken down into digestible parts, right? So let me ask you right up, who is Johannes Robier?
That's a really good question. Who am I? I would say have a brain like an entrepreneur. I always want to start something new, something better for the world, to make the human life easier at the end. This is how it also started in my studies, that I came into this area. And I'm a person who wants to enjoy life. That's me, and I'm doing what I love.
Can you explain to non-design people what you do for a living? Maybe perhaps do it in a way where it's almost like an elevator pitch. In 30 seconds, just explain what you do.
Okay, for my living, it's really easy. At the end, I'm a UX consultant who make products, interactions much easier or intuitive to use for big companies. So big companies hire me to make interactions easier, that their users, their customers have a better life. That's it.
That's amazing. And so your pitch is basically you want to improve experiences,
Yes.
and your passion is entrepreneurship and exploring other things that can make the world a better place.
Yeah, at the end, I really often see these problems, and if no one wants to fill the gap, I try to fill the gap. Doesn't matter if it's in my area or not in my area.
Yeah, I hear you.
And at the end, to let you know a little bit in my vision, everything what I'm doing, I try to create a big universe where everything what I'm doing supports each other in any way.
It's
So-
like in
There's where we're coming to all these things I'm doing, where I said maybe it's a black box. It's at the end my company. I have a research lab, the World Usability Congress. Then I founded together with other people the UX Foundation Level Certification, UX QCC. We founded UX accreditation, also coming out of the conference. And also the World of Experience, which I have, then the Ratify as a rate for talks. So everything, I think there are a lot of things that are coming up, trying out. If it works, great. If it not works, okay, it died.
true spirit of design. Yeah. So let's go back into your childhood, because I'm really curious now, because someone who's this driven as a grown-up person, I'm sure is even more driven as a child, even more curious as a child. So what was your childhood like? Were you a creative?
I was really social at the end. In my childhood, I joined the music, we call it Musikkapelle, the music band, the local. I joined the youth organization, the local. I was also leader of the youth organization. I was leader of the whole country youth organization. So every weekend I was driving around doing a lot for the youth, for the music. At the end, I did a lot for the community. And this is what I'm still doing. This is where I started. And I think also there I started to love organizing things, organizing anything, or treat people like a guest. I would say something like that. So then when I invite someone those people are like I treat them like a princess or a prince or a king, and yeah, you know what I mean.
That's very special. So and how did you make the connection with design or what you wanted to do when you grew up? Did you have an idea what design was?
No, I really had no clue until 18 or the year of 19. Then I searched for a university, and then I found the FIU Neum in Graz, where they have industrial design and information design. And I thought that would be really cool. I didn't know what it is, but it looks really cool because in industrial design, the sketches are really awesome. I was not that to do such great things, so they didn't took me at industrial design. So I started information design and interaction design, and also there at the beginning, a lot of people, they know how to use Photoshop, they know to use internet Flash, and so on and so on. And I really started from the beginning. Okay, never heard about these tools, and never heard about Adobe, and so on and so on. But it was cool to design things, to create something. So, and I think that's in my heart. I want to create something. And in these studies, there was one course. It was called usability. And I had someone where we had to redesign a really old player recorder, a tape recorder, and there was the moment. Okay, this is not really hardcore, making it really nice. It's more to create something based on human psychology. It's more a logic way how I design products. And there I knew, okay, I'm not a designer, but I'm a designer. So I'm not the make it pretty designer. I'm a make it usable designer. And there was this connection. Okay, this is what I want to do. And then I knew, okay, this will be my way in my life.
And what about the entrepreneurship part? I'm sure as a child, as a young kid, you were doing stuff to make businesses, make money, add value. Were you one of those lemonade stand kids where you would like?
No, no. I was a social kid. I did a lot for the community. And also after my studies, I worked in big companies like Siemens, in a small startup or a research company. And then what I knew is I wanted to reach something, to become someone important at the end, maybe. And I knew only with design, I will be only a designer. So I started studying economy next to my job. And during the studies, of course, also during working, I knew a lot of people, and one of this person, Bernhard, changed into an entrepreneurship startup hub. And he told me, hey, Hannes, we need some service providers in our startup hub. Don't you want to start your own company? And I said, no, I don't want to do it. But he told me I have to create this business plan. And I said, for the studies economy, it's really good to know how to create a business plan. So I said, okay, let's start. I only want to know how to do a business plan for my later life. And then we created a business plan. Then we had this presentation. Then this international jury said, okay, you are in. Then Bernhard told me, Hannes, now you have to start your own company. So I said, this is not what I wanted. And then I started for 20 hours my own company, and 20 hours I worked. And then for 1 year later, I will jump in 100% in my own company. So it happens.
Yeah.
It happens to be an entrepreneur. And then the first 5 years in UX, and I was really young, it was not UX, it was usability. Really, really hard. I didn't earn anything, a little bit. And I think there, this skill of problem solution, to create something new, to think about everything, I think this was the time where I created this skill. Because at the end, I didn't earn anything with usability, so I had to do a lot of other things. And I tried out everything. But then in 2012, everything became better, and I really focused on usability and UX. I also tried everything else.
That's fascinating. Because so this is exactly, so I was trying to, so what I do is I generally, when I take notes about people, I try to make a journey, a simple journey, and like 3 steps, 4 steps maximum, right?
Yeah.
That would be the easiest. With you, I was like, I started off with saying, okay, it's a UX designer, then a usability consultant, then a full-time, and then a lecturer, and then a business owner, and then multiple businesses. So it's almost like you were smitten or bitten by the entrepreneurship bug, you know, and you're like, okay, so these are my hard skills that I've developed, and these are the things that I would really like to check out. And I relate to that mindset a lot, because I am someone who's constantly trying to add value to different ecosystems,
That's
you know,
good,
and
yeah.
see like, it's like, okay, why should I just stay here? Maybe I can add, like, you know, and then try to, as you said, find a way. How can you infiltrate this system, right? That's also part of design, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
just expand on that, and just, you know, what sort of a mindset do you have? How do you come up with this? And then we'll go to specific things that you have right now.
As I said, the mindset is more, why do I do what I do? I think at the end, because I really discuss this really often with other people who asks me, where do you want to be in 10 years? At the moment, I will say I don't know, because everything is running so fast, everything is changing so fast. So one of the most important skills for me, and I also tell it to my students, be as flexible as possible. There was one sentence from one lecturer of mine in 2000, and this was really a mind-blowing sentence for me. And he said, when you're finished with information design, you don't have any job. You have to create your own job for the future. So we are a designer, we have to create. And if there is no job which we can find, we have to create our own job. And I think this is really important, that we have to think about at the end. Also really, really exciting was 2 years ago, because I have the World Usability Congress, and I try to find new tracks, new areas where UX is really important. And 2 or 3 years ago, I did a survey on LinkedIn, and I asked, what are the most important tracks for the future for us? And then the most important was sustainability. And I thought, hey, sustainability? What does UX to do with sustainability? Nevertheless, we did the sustainability track. It was awesome, but not that crowded. But then I talked with a lot of people, and at the end, I really find out why UX is that important. It's not because we're a designer, not a visual designer. It's more about our skills. Why we are going into sustainability and also other areas, because we have the mindset to see the big picture. We can focus on the problem and try to find solution for the problem, and we have the methods and tools for it. So an engineer is always in the engineering part. We can take a step more in the higher level and see the big picture and create with journeys, with whatever, a and blueprints a great problem solving for companies. It doesn't matter if we do sustainability, if we optimize a hospital, if we create a big new house, whatever we're doing, when we have the mindset of thinking for human-centered design, then we can create everything. You don't have to have the skills for everything in detail, but we are the big architectures for human centricity. And this is in any field. And that's the interesting part of it.
That's really inspiring. How you spoke about sustainability and the idea that it opens up your mindset that we don't have to stick to just visual design.
Right, yeah.
And this idea that we have several systems in the world, and these systems can be improved, optimized, renewed, like whatever the challenge is, right? And sometimes it's just about absolutely. So this is again. So I have a background in architecture, and I told you. So exclusively first decade of my experience was architecture. So I have a lot of architect friends, and they always ask me, "What do you do? Why did you leave architecture?" And I'm like, architecture never leaves you. It's this idea of planning, understanding what it is, and making sure everything works before it gets built. So, and then this whole mindset of going in. However, that mindset is limited to the fact that we are confined to physical material, and we cannot iterate and change later on. And this is what I found amazing with technology, right? With what we do, we can immediately go in and change things. And pixels are not worth anything in terms of they can be moved around without a huge problem until if it's being used by 10 million people, then it's a problem. If you move a button, right?
Of course. But at the end, it's about, as you said, sometimes you need a design freeze, but you have to think about everything. So I also really awesome. I teach also at industrial design at the university, and I teach UX for complex systems. So what we do there is, or what I tell them, create a new part of a city, or create a theme park, create whatever. So really big complex systems. That's what's really interesting. So we have to start with big picture. What's the story? What are the big paths where a lot of people have to go, where only a few people go? Which houses or which areas do you create? What's the experience in there? What's the pre-show? What's the after-show? What's the transition when you go from there to there? So there are a lot of things what we have to think about in a big area, and if we understand this holistic view and it's on the system, we also understand every small thing, and we have to think about this. What is an app? What's the influence of a small app into the whole system? If you understand the big view, you also have to think in the small view back to the big view. And that's really important that people understand, hey, you don't create only an app, you only create something which influences the whole system. And that's also part of sustainability, of socialize, whatever. It's about humanity. It's about creating the world. And that's important.
Now, it's a very important point that you touch upon, that no ecosystem exists in isolation, right? And you realize it once you go into it, and you realize, it's connected with this one and this one and this one, and it's just one big complicated, beautiful mess out there that you need to sort out here.
But what's also really interesting for me is if I say, hey, you have to think about the whole system, I don't know if people really understand what I'm saying. I started a course, it's called Design Management, and one former colleague, which all studied with me, joined this design management course. And he also was a UX designer. But after 6 months of this course, he told me, hey, Hannes, now I really understand what design means. He was a designer. And after 6 months doing all this stuff about systems, design management, everything, then he said, hey, now I really understand what it means to design. And this is why I also, when I'm saying it, I don't know if people really understand it, but at the end it's really complex, and it's really, you need to have this glow in your mind to say, okay, now I really understand it. And that's a big challenge. When do people understand it? It's not that easy, I know.
I hear you, because for you, because you've put yourself in this position for so many years, that some of the things have become part of how you think and how you look at the world. I'd like to understand this really interesting initiative that you are part of, the IAP UX, which is the usability accreditation program, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So can you explain that? Number one, why haven't we heard of this before? A lot of UXs, as in if there is something like that there, we should know about it. And number two, how did you come about?
So at the end, it started also at the World Disability Congress, because a lot of great minds meet there and we discuss a lot of challenges. And one of these challenges is, as you know, UX is a really young profession. Now everyone wants to do UX, and everyone does UX or do UX. So only in Graz, in my city, every software company does do UX, every agency do UX, but they don't know what is the human-centered design process. They don't understand what is UX. They only do maybe some more pretty things and tell their customers, we do UX. So with this huge problem, because we don't have a real good training or education for UX globally. We have some universities who do great stuff, but at the end, we have too many people who do UX with no real education. This is why we said, okay, for companies who hire UX people, we need to create something like a standard, a standard of profession. So then we said, okay, let's create the UX accreditation. We started really small in Graz 2 years ago. Then it became really fast, really huge with UXPA International. Now we are a global. At the end, it's a global organization for personal accreditation. So it's not an exam. It's more like a one-to-one peer review. What you are doing? Is this really the right way?
Mm-hmm.
Do you do research? Do you have to create the requirements out of the research, out of the needs? Is the tooling which you use after the requirements the right tooling for design something? Do you do also the testing? But this is the whole process. But at the end, we know that you can't be a profession everything. I compared always with, I'm also sprinter or in track and field and athletics. And I did the hackathon for a long time. And also the best person in hackathon are not that good as if you're really a profession in sprinting or in long jump. So they are always 20% better than the best in hackathon. So we say, hey, you can't do everything. You can't do strategy. You can't do research, information architecture, design, whatever. You can't be only a profession at least 3 things. And this is why we always say, hey, you never can be a UX UI designer, because this is no job profile UX UI designer. Then you are a generalist who do everything but nothing good. And this is why we created this accreditation, to bring also the mindset of, hey, it's a huge profession with a really, really broad area of activities. And right now we defined 13, 14 areas of profession in the field of UX. And you only can do this accreditation in three areas. And this is why we said, okay, also in the future, for companies who hire agencies, whatever, who hire people, then you can say, hey, I have the accreditation. I really know what I'm saying, and all based on the ISO standard. Yeah.
This is what I wanted to find out. How are you benchmarking this? So it's based on the ISO standard.
Yeah.
Somehow that's where you, okay. That's
100%
very
of the
smart.
ISO standard.
Yeah, that's very, very smart because then you have some legibility, right? So
Right. And at the end, if you ask 20 UX designer, only 1 or 2 knows the human-centered design process from the ISO standard, or knows the levels of the interaction, ISO 100, the 92, 200, 200, 104, and the ISO standards. The
2024.
the 110, 27, 500, and so on, so on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. This is really helpful. So, and I'm guessing a lot of listeners would go and check it out and see what it is, because I'm always of the opinion that some sort of regulation needs to come in, because it's like the wild west in the US, right? And when when the charter was given and told to the people, like, you know what, take your carriages, everything you have, put your stake in the ground, and you can have that land. Initially, it was okay. When we started UX, still like there were a lot of room, and now everyone is getting into UX, right? And because it's a natural progression for a lot of different other designers because they come through visual design, and
Right.
so, and we look at apps and we look at platforms as visual, although it's crazy when you look at a platform. Like I hardly look at buttons. I don't look at bars and all of that and things, because for me,
Nee, geht es raus. Ja, geht zu Mama. Sorry.
I love it. I have a little daughter as well. How old is she?
3 years.
Okay, that's amazing. So yeah, life has to move on, as you said. Yeah, we need to integrate this. So and the fact that having a barrier to entry or somehow having this stepwise progression, so there's some training happening, So yeah.
So, as you said, rules are important, but I hate rules. Really, I hate rules. Everything in justice, I hate it. And I know when you also look on government systems, they're all too complex, and we know they're all too complex. And I had a long discussion with a leader of SAP yesterday, and we also discussed about these rules, and that rules at the end destroy humanity, because someone always looks on someone else, and we need freedom at the end. And I'm convinced that the best will do it at the end is true. But what we came out yesterday is we need these rules as long as people understand what we are doing. Right now, only 10% understand what we are doing. If everything knows what the UX designer does, what is his skills and so on, then we don't need any these rules anymore. So I think we need accreditation and certification for the next 10, 15, 20 years, and then everyone should know it about it. And then we don't need education for it. Because the best will... if we have rules for this transition and then kill the rules, I think it will be best for humans.
I hear you. I have a slightly different opinion on rules. So
Okay.
I feel because I come from architecture, right? Constraints. So you start with constraints. You start with things that are pinning you down. The biggest challenges are constraints that you can't, the unmovables. And the unmovables actually create a boundary. Within that you can go crazy, right? And this is what I feel. So in order to create the border, as my professor used to say, you need to create a box to think outside of it.
Yeah.
So it's just that part here.
But it's the same. Let's think about in architecture. You get hired from a customer, and you don't stay in this box. You create a new house, and after 1 year, it crashes. You will never get a job anymore. Nowhere. Same, because they know, hey, there are boxes, of course, but we should know them. But only the best, the good, will stay there because they know what they're doing. Same UX.
Absolutely.
But for that, we need this overall, okay, there are rules, but we don't need the rule. But because there are so often technology changes, material changes, and we stay in these boxes, but have the possibilities to make something better outside the box, because everything changes. So also in government, we create rules on rules and rules and rules. But at the end, with digitalization, we have a possibility that we can kill 50% of all the rules. But don't do it. And that's the problem. Why everything is so complex at the end.
I hear you. I agree with that. So minimum level of standards should be there, right?
Yeah.
You just can't expect people to walk in and do substandard things. Great. I'm going to jump on to another thing, and that's the Congress that you spoke of. So that really intrigued me, and I'll give you a background, and then I'm going to ask you some questions. So again, the entrepreneur in me, in my head, it's like we had a startup in Pakistan. We started that, and it became like a huge event-driven initiative and we do a lot of open houses, architectural documentaries, and we've got the biggest architectural YouTube channel in Pakistan right now. So that's part of one of the things. That's part of impact. And I've realized events are the hardest things to do. It is so difficult. It's got so many moving parts because it's people, gathering people.
Right, yeah.
So what made you get into it, and what's your experience been like, and what are you thinking of in future about what you're doing?
Let's start at the beginning. 2007, I created my own company, had no jobs. How do you promote? I had no money for promotion, whatever. And then there was also the international initiative, the World Usability Day. And I said, let's create the World Usability Day at the university, make it really small or not small. We don't know what happened. We started with 30 people the first time. And it was for free for everyone. And it grew, and then we had 200 people. And I said, it really is a huge effort. I should start taking some fee for it. And I started the first in 2012 only for workshops. I took a fee to finance everything else. Then I said, okay, let's make it bigger and let's create a conference out of it. And then we started with the World Usability Conference. Honestly speaking, I lost 100% of my attendees, which I had the year before, which was for free. Because now they had to pay for it, and they didn't pay. They only were people who come for a free event. And I started again with 80 people. And also the first 5, 6, 2013 to 2018, it was break even, or I lost money, 10 to 20K a year. But I had the vision, and I think it was also a former professor, which I told, hey, I want to create a global conference in Graz. And he said, never possible in Graz. Why in Graz? We have no community, we have nothing here in Graz. Maybe this was the inspiration for me. Hey, yes, I can do it. Because funny thing, also Arnold Schwarzenegger is coming from Graz. He was born here, and he has also this great vision. So at the end, it was really hard. But also in these last 10 years, I really, really learned a lot about. At the end, I did a lot of events when I was young, but at the end, I learned a lot about business events. And I'm a person who hates to sell tickets at the end. I do Google Ads and LinkedIn ads. That's it. but I'm no one who hires people in the call center to call everyone. This was not my interest. It's more this community feeling. It's like a family. So I go into deep of what makes a conference interesting. Why are coming people to a conference? What are the key facts or key borders which we have to create to have a long-term conference, not a one-time conference? And I really learned a lot, and also I learned a lot from one person, Joe Lancicero. He was the first time at my conference in 2014 or 15. He was vice president at Disney in engineering for 30 years, and now he's freelance consultant. And for me, it was really interesting. Always, okay, there are theme parks for experiences. We love it. And in business, everything is fast, everything is for efficiency and so on. How can we create this experience in theme parks also in business? And this was one thing what still drives me. I always said this conference, this World Usability Congress, is the playground for me to try out new things. It's still a playground. It was a playground the last 10 years. And because of everything, you see, it's also really a really complex area. I also go into deep in psychology and what are the dimensions of enthusiasm for humans. How to create a wow experience. This really emotional, deep experience which we as human can have. And this triggered me, and now I'm writing together with Joe this book, How to Wow, which we want to present at the conference 2025 this year. And this is what's really, really interesting, because I'm really convinced when we talk about UX in our profession, I try to say 90% of people we talk about make things efficient, effective, as fast as possible, easy to use, and so on. But we as a human are not made to make it as easy as possible. We are made for experiences. We have so much senses. We need something to hear, to smell, to see, to everything. We are created for a lot of information, not for less information. And this is, again, a mind-blowing where I understood, no, humans are not made for efficiency. We are made for experiences. Efficiency only happens because of industrialization, because of digitalization, because people had to work and make it efficient for the companies. But at the end, we need experiences. And this is what I'm now going to, hey, how can we create experiences, this cool, awesome touch points for companies? Because I'm 100% convinced that every company needs at least 2 to 3 experienced touch points, is wow touch points, that we can create loyalty. Without loyalty, we will die in the next 5 to 10 years as a company or firm.
This is
what drives me.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. I can see how the book is a natural progression, because you're constantly thinking, tweaking, understanding things, so I've always just for sharing this. You open this back of my head, things start to pop up when
I don't know if everyone understands what I said. Maybe you can summarize it.
No. I think it was very clear. But you're trying to, because yesterday I was I had another chat with a very interesting. I don't know if you know him, Jared Spool. He's
of course,
yeah. So he was on the podcast yesterday. We recorded it, and he spoke about experiences. He spoke about Disney. He spoke about Universal Studio, and he spoke about Universal putting in billions of dollars in trying to now take their level of experience to the next level, right? And stuff that nobody has seen before, beyond Disney, because Disney was the benchmark, right?
Yeah.
For the longest time. So and it's funny that next day you speak of the same thing, and experience and
Why it's so important to think about it? Because at the end, because of AI, because of robotics, which is coming right now next few years, technology will take over a lot of shops, I will say. But at the end, what are our jobs next? It's going more in the, we only can stay alive when you create experiences for everything. Let's talk about slow design. How we can make things slow again, not faster than slower. How can you create more emotions? Because human needs these emotions. It's about life at the end. And when we think about the future, and there are some when we talk about every grocery, I think groceries become experience shops where we try out something, and everything else you order on Amazon or any other shop. What we don't want to experience, like, I don't know, a new spoon or something like what you need every day, where you as person don't need an experience. So create experiences where we want, as a human, want experiences, and this skills or these use cases, jobs to build, whatever, for cooking, for example, or for trying out something, and make everything else as efficient as possible. It's about, at the end, it's about creating a worldwide theme park. Let's say it in that really hard way.
I hear you. I hear you. It's so one last question, right? And this question is mostly about people who think, including myself. So I feel the next phase that is coming is going to be more towards 40% employment, 60% self-employment, right? And this is going to shift to 100% self-employment eventually. And you've been self-employed with multiple things at the same time in a lot of ways. So what would you tell designers in their mid-career right now? Yeah. So what is the path towards self-employment?
The first and most important skill is to network. Know the right people, know a lot of people, talk to people. Without a network, you can't do anything. Without the right people, you can't do anything. At the end, also why I'm doing all this stuff, it's not possible that I'm doing it alone. There are other people with other skills, and together we create. Okay, sometimes I create things on my own because it's too crazy to include some other people, but at the end, this accreditation program, the certification book, it's not me. It's a team of people who all are self-employed or who have a mindset to create to have more than one job at the end, or who have a vision for something. So this is the most important skill at the end, to have the right network, and also to meet always new people. And why I'm trying so much things at the end is, I think it's about this human need of safetiness. I love my job and I love everything what I'm doing, but at the end I try to have, I don't do it because of the income, but I love teaching at the university. But this makes me also safe. Hey, I get every month a little part of my money what I need. I love doing my job as consultant, and it brings another part of it. And I love the conference, and when it's go well, it also brings a part of it. and everywhere I get a little bit a part of it, and at the end I do what I love, and it finances me what I need. So when I do only one, at the end I'm not the person who say, hey, I want to become a full-time lecturer at university. Never. It's me because I'm so I'll do what I love. Yeah. Nothing more to say.
That's an excellent way to end this. Johannes, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.